You cannot build relationships from behind a computer screen or a desk. Real partnerships and collaborations happen in person, face to face, out in your community. Hi, I'm Ashley Adams of Lotus 9, where we help grassroots and new nonprofit organizations better position themselves to obtain grant funding. And in today's video titled, You Can't Build Relationships from Behind a Computer Screen, we're going to discuss getting out into your community to meet your stakeholders and other nonprofits, talking confidently about your nonprofit, and ultimately growing your network in a way that opens doors for your mission. So I got a short story. Early in my nonprofit work, I worked for an organization where we provided a variety of services to people in the community. And as a result, I would send out a monthly email to all of our email list. And the point of I would send that email out to showcase the services that we provided at my organization. So we would track, how many emails that would go out, how many referrals we got in every month, and other things, other data points for our own reporting. I never really got a lot of referrals or questions based on the monthly emails that I would send out, which included a calendar of all of the events. So, in addition to this, I will also attend this really large community meeting every month. And I mean, it will be a variety of different organizations represented there, nonprofits, for profits, government people, local government people, etc. And I would do like a short presentation on the services that we were providing most of the time, not every month. And, I would leave business cards and our calendar. After I would do my presentation, other people would present, or we would get, if there were topics to discuss in the meeting, we would go over that. But like I said, it was a pretty large group. So once the meeting was done, I would get up and leave. At one meeting, I actually ran into someone I used to go to high school. And this person, we locked eyes during the meeting, and I kind of realized who he was. He realized who I was. So after the meeting, we kind of got caught up on, stuff back in high school, what we're doing now, who he worked for, who I was working for, etc. So he was actually interested in the services that my organization provides. Me and my high school friend were talking after the meeting. So there were still some people lingering around, and he invited one of the people over to introduce me to them because he knew from the program, from the services that person provided, that it would be a nice, us meeting and potentially collaborating would be a good connection. So after I talked to that person, it turned out he was correct. The services he provided and the clients that he served could utilize some of the services my organization provided. So we, continued to talk. People kind of came and went. My high school friend introduced me to a couple of other people. No lie. After that meeting, I started getting referrals. Like people would email me and say, "Hey, you remember me from, the large community meeting? Can we set up a time to talk over the phone about, what you do, et cetera, et cetera." I even got invited to present information at these organizations, staff meetings and other meetings or what have you. I realized then that relationships don't happen behind the screen because I have been sending that calendar and other emails out for a very long time. I attended that large community meeting for a very long time. People at the very least recognized my face. But it was something about my old high school friend introducing me to a few people who referred me to other people, and it kind of snowballed. That introduction and consequent connections with the other service providers really made an impact on the referrals that my organization received. So I thought about it. Could it be because of who my friend was? He was well established in the community. So maybe people trusted anyone that he would introduce them to. Or could it have been the fact that I would normally get up and leave immediately after the meeting? My mindset then was, okay, I came, I listened to the information I was presented. I checked off the topics on the agenda as people went through them. I did my thing. Okay, it's time to go. Let me hurry up and go home. Either I was on my way to lunch or, let me get back to the office, etc. So that's one thing I want to point out to, everyone that's watching this video. Some of the best connections and conversations are usually happening after the meeting. It's the meeting after the meeting where you see things coming to fruition. So I say that to say, get out in the community. Even if there's something that you're already meetings, regular meetings, or events that you already attend, step back and take a look. Are you getting the results that you want? And if you're not, figure out why. Is it you? Are you not putting your best foot forward? Or could it be the event itself? Maybe this event is not a match for the connections and relationship that you're trying to build. For me, I discovered from the scenario, I discovered that I need to kind of linger around a little bit, let people get introduced to you, introduce yourself to people. You never know what can come of it. So that's the moral of the story. I know a lot of people don't consider themselves extroverts. I'm definitely not an extrovert, but it's something about when I'm speaking about a nonprofit's mission and the work that it does, I always keep in the back of my head the people that we serve. Who am I failing by not pushing the mission, the vision, and sharing this information to other people in the community? Who could potentially benefit from me doing that? Thinking of it that way, that kind of mind shift takes it off of you and puts the focus on the people that you serve because they need your help and assistance. So I know with the passion that all of you have, you want to make sure you do the best work. So kind of think of it that way. Don't get caught up in your own mental stuff. Just start a conversation off with a simple hi, introduce yourself, and ask the person who are they and what do they do. Okay, so let's get into the topics of today's video. The first point is look for opportunities to get out into the community. You can go to community events, regular meetings. I see a lot online now that have networking breakfasts, funders put on different events. That's why it's very important. If you're interested in a potential funder, try to get on their email list because they send email updates to everyone that's on their email list. So look for ways to connect. Along those same lines, when you're going to an event, I know you generally go in with a specific mind frame or thinking that you're going to get this out of the event. In the case that you don't, always look for something positive. I can't name an event, a workshop, a meeting where I thought one thing was going to be discussed and it was something else, but I still was able to get something out of the meeting. So this happens to me all the time. I attend a lot of workshops. I'm a learner. I'm a nerd at heart. So if there's a workshop, whether it's free or paid, and it's related to something I'm interested in, I'm signing up for it. And they get me every single time. It's kind of like clickbait. They'll come up with this wonderful title, and I'm thinking, okay, that's what we're going to discuss, or that's what we're going to learn about in this workshop. And it's something kind of related to it, but it's not exactly what the title says. Happens to me all the time. I get ticked off, but I always manage to salvage either, my time or my money by getting something else out of it versus what I thought I was going to get out of it. So for example, when I'm going to workshops and they have that specific title, I usually prepare a list of questions, no more than 10, because you generally one person isn't going to be able to ask all of those questions. And if it's a good topic or a good presenter, they should answer a lot of those questions. So always prepare before I go to a workshop or a meeting with what I expect to get out. And I always have questions because most presenters and workshop facilitators either ask questions in between while they're presenting or conducting the workshop, or they save time at the very end for questions. So I'm always ready. So in the event that, I prepare these questions and it doesn't really relate to the topic that was actually presented, I always try to salvage the time that I've spent by connecting with someone there. Generally, during workshops, you kind of indirectly get to know what organization or nonprofit a person works with or what their background is in, etc. While people are mentioning that information, I take down notes because that if it's someone I'm interested in connecting with after the event. So at the very least, I didn't get the learning that I expected, but I'm also potentially can leave with a good connection, and you never know where that can lead. So I always say, even if you get out in their community and the event that you're attending is not what you thought it was going to be, still try to salvage it. So, what a way that you can put this into action is to make a list of 3 events that you want to attend this month. You could go on Facebook, they have a lot of announcements. You can try, maybe a funder has their events calendar on their website. Be resourceful, ask around. If you know somebody that attends a meeting, some meeting on a monthly basis, see if you can tag along with them. So try to find 3 to 5 events that you can attend either this month or next month and attend them. Prepare, like I mentioned before, maybe jot down some questions or what have you, but write down those events, put them on your calendar, and attend. Point 2, don't be afraid to talk to strangers. And by that, I mean, I know a lot of people grew up, our parents taught us don't talk to strangers. In this context, it's okay to talk to strangers because you never know who you can meet on the other side of a high. I know it's intimidating. Like I mentioned before, I am not an extroverted person at all. But when I'm at an event, it's like something else switches inside me. I had one of my mentors make this statement one time, and I didn't really realize that he was speaking about me. He said, I could put her in a room, I could drop her in a room anywhere, and she's going to make some connections. So, I was ear hustling the conversation. I was like, who are you talking about? He was like, you. And I didn't even think of it that way because for the most part, I'm kind of quiet, reserved. But when I get in that environment, it's just like a switch goes off in me because, when you meet different people from different organizations, different backgrounds, and these people may not even serve the clients that you serve with your program, they have a different perspective. They can bring a fresh perspective to the work that you do. So I think that's what kind of motivates me. It's like you never know what you're going to meet. So and you can start off with a simple hi, hi, I'm Ashley. I work with, this organization. Hey, what's your name? Who are you working with? And I know it sounds real corny, but a simple hi can really, really get you going. And you can throw a compliment in there. Oh, hey, I like your outfit. I don't know, just figure out something that's relevant. You don't have to force it. A simple hi can get you going in a conversation with someone. So, an example of this, I was at a workshop and we were taking a break, and a couple of people started walking around to different tables, just connecting with people, introducing themselves. So, I was standing there, I think drinking some coffee or something with a couple of the other attendees, and this lady walked up and she had like some business cards and some flyers in her hand. So I figured she was gonna, introduce herself and, present the flyers, whatever information she had. And sure enough, she did. Sure enough, she did. And she did it with a bang. This lady's voice was so elevated and she was just so excited and so passionate. It was very memorable. And that's the point I'm trying to make to you. Just approach people, make sure, and I discussed this in a couple of previous videos, that when you're speaking about your nonprofit, keep it short and sweet. And you want to do that so people can remember, your name, your nonprofit's name, and what you do in the most basic sense. And if they want to ask questions or, want to find out more information, they'll ask for it and then you'll be prepared to answer them. But if you bombard people with a whole bunch of information, half of it's going in one ear and out the other, and they're not going to remember it anyway. So that's my story on that. When I was doing kind of earlier in my nonprofit journey, I worked at an organization where we attended a lot of conferences. And certain conferences we would attend every year. So I would go to maybe 3 to 4 conferences a year. And at just about every one of them, I would see the same lady, and I knew she would see me. We would just kind of say hi and pass, or just make eye contact to show, the other one that we saw them. But we never really, connected or had a verbal exchange or anything. So one day, and I don't remember if it was me or if it was her, one of us walked up to each other and was like, hey, you know what? I see you all the time. What's your name? Where do you work at? And we kind of both described what we did, the population we served, et cetera. And it turned out that she provided services to minor children, and my organization dealt only with adults. So we definitely our worlds did not cross in any way as far as the services that our organizations provided, but because we established such a good connection, after seeing each other many, many times, we exchanged information. And as a result of that, we would email each other different leads or information we found, just saying, hey, thought of you when I saw this, maybe this could be useful. There were a couple of times she referred some of her clients' parents to our organization. So it wasn't like anything formal, like a formal partnership, but she was another connection that was made out in the community, and the relationship worked both ways. I would give and send her information, and she would send me information, sometimes referrals for our programs. So that's one great example of how just starting off with a simple hi can lead to something that's beneficial for both parties. And then, there are some people out there in the world that are just, I call super connected. Everybody in your personal, I bet you in your personal and in your professional life, you have that one person that you can go to and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody that does this, this, and this. Can you help me? And they can find some, or they know, I know a guy that can do this, or I know, an organization that does that. That's the goal. You want to be able to have enough connections out there in your community to be able to receive services and receive help, but also to help others. Building a relationship is definitely not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. So although you want value from other people, you also have to be able to exhibit and show value to others as well. So now we're to point 3, how to speak about your nonprofit. Once you get out there and you start meeting people, I kind of briefly mentioned it a few minutes ago, you need to be able to communicate effectively and clearly about your nonprofit and the work that you do. You want to be focused on your impact, your mission, and what makes your organization unique, what makes it stand out amongst the crowd. So, for example, instead of saying we provide after-school programs, it's kind of a broad statement. You could say, we help 50 local kids each year gain mentorship and skills that keep them on track for success. The difference between those two statements, neither one of them is wrong, but the second statement puts a number to it. It shows that you have some kind of impact in your community. And it shows that if somebody partners with you, this potentially could be the impact that they could have in their program as well, or some sort of impact as related. So what I want you to do is whatever introduction you have for yourself and your organization, review it and make sure that it resonates with people that you potentially could say it to. You also need to take into account who you're saying it to. So an example I use, saying we provide after school programs might be good enough if you're speaking to someone like a nonprofit, someone from a nonprofit. Just kind of like a real brief, short introduction, just showing them the kind of work that you're involved with. But if you say the second statement, we help 50 local kids each year gain mentorship and skills that can keep them on track for success, that rings some bells if you're talking to a funder. That's showing with whatever funding you have right now, you've impacted 50 kids with mentorship and skills that can keep them on track for success. So that's every year you've been able to help 50 kids. Now, in my mind, if I'm a funder and I'm interested in your program, if they can impact 50 kids each year with their current funding, what could my funding what could the addition of my funding do for this organization? So that's the difference. Anytime you're speaking to someone, and I know if it's kind of a quick introduction, or someone you don't know and have no idea where they're from, you're just blindly introducing yourself, you may not know who they are, and where they work. But once you find out, you can kind of tailor your introduction about your organization to fit the position that they currently hold. So My last point today is meeting people once isn't just enough. Making that initial connection isn't enough. Once you make that connection, you have to make sure that you develop it over time. So if you guys, as a result of the initial hi, you find of saying hi to each other, and you find that you and the other person can maybe connect or collaborate on a project or what have you, make sure you exchange information. And once you get their email or their phone number, make sure to use it. If you have their email, you can send updates about your program, or you can send a simple email, check in and say, hey, how are you doing? What are you guys into? Do you have any events coming up pretty soon within the next couple of months? I'm looking to get out into the community, whatever. Just make sure you keep that connection alive. So once you get out into the community, you're making these connections and you're getting this contact information, you're going to need somewhere to store it. And I do not recommend just collecting a stack of business cards because they can get lost, they can fall behind your desk. Like me, I have a bad habit of sticking business cards into like a notebook or a planner that I'm holding. And then if you turn it upright, it'll fall straight out. I've lost so many business cards by doing that. So what I recommend you do is keeping a spreadsheet. If you don't have a CRM system to keep your contacts in, just create a simple Excel or Google spreadsheet and enter the information in there after you get someone's business card or their email. This is kind of like a digital phone book, contact book, so you can make sure you keep that information, and you can also track how often you reach out to that person or when they reach out to you, or what else could you track? You could track what type of work they do, any potential ideas you may have to partner with this person in the future. So the point is just make sure you're collecting that, you're making the connection, you're collecting contact information, and then you're tracking, keeping it and tracking it so you can use it in the future. So everything I discussed today is a real brief, shortened version of my online course, Brick by Brick, Building Relationships to Get Funded. And that's exactly what the course covers. Different steps, tips, and tools to help you build relationships that will eventually get you funding and partnerships. So if you potentially could be interested in learning more about Brick by Brick, there's a link below where you can sign up to be put on the email list to be notified when Brick by Brick opens up for enrollment. So let's recap today's video. The first thing is get out in your community. Look for different events, meetings, and gatherings that you could attend and meet other nonprofit organizations. Second, don't be afraid to start a conversation with a new person. It's okay to talk to strangers, and you can start with a simple hello. Third, be able to communicate your nonprofit's mission and impact clearly and compellingly. That means don't put all this extra googly gop into it. Keep it simple, keep it short and sweet so people can remember it. And then finally, follow up and nurture the relationships and connections that you make so you can make sure they develop over time. It can be beneficial to you and to the other party. Remember, your relationships are your most important tool during your nonprofit work. Emails can replace face-to-face interactions. Start small, show up consistently, and you'll watch your network and relationships develop and grow. That's all I have for you today. But if you found the information helpful, make sure you leave us a comment below, and you can click the link to join the Lotus 9 email list. That's where I share weekly tips to help you build stronger funder relationships and help you get funded faster. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you have any questions or recommendations for future videos, put them in the comments below as well. Don't forget, you already have the passion and the vision. The only thing left for you to do is to position your nonprofit so funders can see it too. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.